I'm Dr. Farrell from Better Health, and myself and my team have educated and guided over 6,000 clients to dial in an eating plan that works for their specific lifestyle, time, and need. We've rolled this up into an eating and education plan that is a CDC-approved 21-day Better Food Challenge. Now, 98% of the people that start the challenge will actually finish it, and the average person will convert 4.2 pounds per week from fat into energy. Now, the CDC states that those results are clinically significant in normalizing blood glucose, cholesterol, blood pressure, therefore reducing their overall health risks by 80% of the world's most common chronic conditions. So, of course, I'm proud when I see people holding up their fat loss posters and tagging us on Facebook, and I'm definitely get overwhelmed when I start reading all the Google reviews. We have hundreds of them, and we're carrying a 5-star average. So it sounds like I'm bragging, and I guess a little bit I am, but what I'm really trying to do is beg for your attention to help you. Because what gets me more excited than seeing people use this protocol I'm going to discuss tonight for weight loss is the fact that they've learned how their body really works, and they get all the tools that they need for life. In fact, many of them will eventually join our remote coaching team, either full-time or as a part-time gig. It's incredibly rewarding, and they just love to give back. So my ultimate goal first is to make you your own best coach, potentially allowing you to take that information and utilize it with your friends, your family, coworkers, what have you. Now, you're here to learn about reducing belly fat, and I promise to deliver on that. I know you've tried it all, the points to shakes to fats. This isn't your first rodeo. You can count points like Rain Man. I know you how to manipulate that point system better than anybody. Or maybe you're the person that's really into exercise, your fitness competition, you got that last 5 to 8 pounds to lose, and it just doesn't seem to budge anymore. So what you're going to uncover tonight is that this is for everybody, from 18 years old to 88 years old. There's something in here, and belly fat is just one part of that. So people will say, Doc, how do you know it's going to work, right? After all, I have thyroid issues or Crohn's disease or diabetes, you name it. I'm having anxiety issues and sleep issues. Not to mention, I literally have no time, get poor sleep, or I have trouble falling asleep, or I can't stay asleep. I have low energy. I'm getting these intense cravings, energy crashes all the time. I simply tell them this: your human body wants to thrive. It's already whole and complete. There's only barriers to that expression. So in my experience, I've taken all of that time, all those issues and barriers, and put into a protocol to relieve them, thus making your success rate near perfect. I don't need to tell you what to do. Your body already knows. My job is to help you give your body specifically what it needs, throw in a little extra support to get it back on track so it can do its job and express the health that it wants to. It wants to be in that state of ease. So when you see my slides, they're designed to be very relaxing tonight. Not scary, not scientific. I'm not here to yell at you to do more and get motivated. If I did that, I could actually be making it worse. I could actually make you store more fat. And you came here to utilize fat for energy, not store it, right? You're going to understand in a little bit why I've made these slides relaxing, because they're going to serve a purpose. And in about 5 minutes from now, that light bulb will go off, and you'll understand exactly why. So here we go. Our bodies are genetically wired to store fat. That's right. Your body's genetically wired to do it. You can run, and for some of you, you're running and running and running, and still no fat loss. This innate wired mechanism has been working against you, but you can flip that switch. And then you can have it start working for you very quickly, in most cases overnight. The trick is learning how to turn it off. This can be done with food, and it can start working, again, within hours. There's over 250,000 books written on nutrition and diet and exercise, but why is it that no experts seem to agree? Is it because they're all wrong? No, it's that there is no one size fits all. However, there's one thing they do agree on. It's your fault. But by believing in this oversimplified approach that you just need to move more and eat less, it's not going to help you sustain a long-term healthy weight. Beautifully designed, the human body is much more complex than this. There are complex forces that govern your survival, your weight, and your metabolism. So to me, telling someone who is trying to lose weight that, oh, all you got to do is eat less and exercise more, is like telling someone who is poor that you just need to make more money and spend less. We also need to ignore all this meme shaming. all the things on Facebook and out there, pain is weakness leaving the body and just do it. Yeah, I just did it. I did it like 500 times. It's not working because it's working against me. I mean, did they know you? Did they know how many times you've done this? And it always ends with the same results. You start off strong and then you fade just as fast. And worse, it comes back with a vengeance. Is there something wrong with you? No, there is nothing wrong with you. Please let me take you off the hook immediately. Stop thinking that way. It's causing the opposite effect of what we want to think. Look at my calming slides. The real reason you have failed to lose weight in the past, and I'm saying you've lost weight in the past, the same weight over time, I'm talking about sustainable weight, is not due to your lack of willpower or bad genetics. It's a matter of resetting your internal chemistry. We live in a very high-stress world. We are emotionally and physically drained, while the pollution and chemicals continue their attack on our bodies every day. By even the lotions and stuff that we're slathering on our skin is getting into our blood system within 26 seconds. We're exhausted and tired, but we can't sleep. We're malnourished, even though there's food on every corner. We have these intense cravings. We have absolutely no time to put into our meals. And why would you put time into this, especially when it's not been paying off? It's time to break up with punishment and start with nourishment. What shall we nourish first, though? Well, let's examine the low-hanging fruit here. Let's talk about the biggest villain in our declining health, our declining mood, our anxiety, our sleep, our energy, and our ever-growing love handles and muffin top. It's stress. There are 3 types: emotional, physical, and chemical. Emotional stress is where your cravings come from, and it starts within the brain. It all comes down to the most primitive part of your brain, your reptilian brain. This is the part of the brain that controls your fight or flight, your eating behavior, your reproductive behavior. When you're under stress, your body secretes norepinephrine, adrenaline, your pupils dilate, all the blood leaves your gut. You're ready to fight or flight. This is a primitive way of keeping you alive when you're running from a predator. But it also kicks in when you're avoiding a stressful coworker or a situation in your life. Now you're in that fight or flight mode. It doesn't mean you're going to start throat punching your coworker or jumping over the cubicles to jump out the window. But your body doesn't know the difference. Are you under emotional stress? Yeah, you live in today's day and age. So am I. Dr. Farrow, yes, I have emotional stress. I have children and a business and all of you that come under my wing and my coaches. So do you find yourself taking deep breaths and sighs a couple times a day? Right? Do you know what happens as this stress event winds down? So that cascade of hormones happens, as I mentioned. You start to secrete cortisol, the most deadly hormone known to man. Yes, it can help us, but we're secreting it in such large amounts. It causes fat storage, insulin resistance, and worse, inflammation, the root of all disease. Do you all think this sounds good for your body? Of course not. How do you think your gut responds to this inflammation? You're right, it's not ideal. That's the knot in your stomach. Now you can see in one way this causes weight gain, but what about your cravings? Do you know where all the stress hormones come from? Your adrenal glands, and they are working overtime. They are on fumes by the time you get home and turn on the Netflix at night and binge watch Ozark. They love to be replenished. And so you're sitting there on the couch watching your Netflix, you're excited, and next thing you know, you get hungry. Even though you just ate about an hour and a half ago, you're starving. So you get up off the couch, you go over to the countertop, you see all that great fruit there, and you want none of it. You don't even want to go into the refrigerator, so you go to the pantry, or as I call it, the coffin, and you're reaching for something salty and sweet. You have that hangry face on. So that apple or grilled chicken and salad almost feels repulsive during these times, because your body is running off of sodium, potassium, and sugar, so it wants a quick fix. It wants that bag of pretzels, those Hershey Kisses. And when you're super stressed, it's a Hershey Kiss pretzel sandwich party. You might even defrost a cheesecake while you're doing this. This is what's going to cause the overeating. Your body's in that reptilian fight or flight. It creates more gut inflammation, poor sleep, and you wake up the next day hungry, exhausted, and actually still craving the food. The most classic example of this is when you drink too much on a Friday night. And the next morning you're craving absolute garbage. Your liver is stressed out, your brain's stressed out. It's a physiological response to an emotional state, not your willpower. Now that's just how emotional stress is working against you. And I know I'm trying to calm you down here, so look at the calming slides because I have a solution for you, so take a deep breath. If someone were to look at the average American's label, the way we would read our food labels, right? We're always looking at these food labels. What would your label read and my label? It would possibly say that this person's full of stress, air, water pollution, salt, corn syrup, wheat, gluten, soy protein extract, partially hydrogenated oils, enriched flours, artificial sweeteners, steroids, antibiotics, hormones, pesticides, preservatives, colorings, dyes, chemical-laden makeups, lotions, cleaners, natural flavors, E. coli, salmonella, T. coliform, all these assorted pathogens, genetically modified organisms, all these tons of unpleasant things that we can't quite identify from foreign and domestic sources, grown in places where quality and safety may be in doubt. We don't even know where we get the fish from and the meat from. We're surrounded by these neurotoxins that are affecting our brain functioning, our memory, and the research show this is causing cancer. We're using pesticides that produce allergens, and for the first time in history, it's not only lowering our children's IQ, but it's lowering their life expectancy. All of that toxic soup is causing a GI condition commonly known as leaky gut syndrome. And it's been gaining a ton of attention lately for several reasons, and it's something I've been studying since 2007, not to give my age away. But there's this growing body of research that has linked leaky gut to a number of seemingly unrelated health concerns and chronic diseases. As it turns out, intestinal permeability is another name for leaky gut, which means you're letting something through the intestines, has been discussed in the medical literature for over 100 years. You've heard of brain drain and people going gluten-free and soy-free. Those are attempts to go to the extreme. There are many factors today that damage the beneficial gut flora and knock out your digestive system. It puts it off balance. I just gave you an expansive list earlier. Of course, the high sugar, processed food, nutrient poor but high calorie diet that makes all the wrong bacteria and the yeast grow in the gut are the leading cause of damage to this internal ecosystem. You have 10 trillion cells in your body. You want to know how important your gut health is? There's 100 to 300 trillion natural bacteria. 70% should be good, 30% should be bad. It's getting out of whack. Overuse of medications damage your gut. They block your normal digestive functions like anti-inflammatories, antibiotics. You know it takes 4 to 8 weeks, depending on the species, of beneficial bacteria to actually reestablish in the gut after taking antibiotics, and yet we're eating it in our food every day. Taking the acid-blocking drugs and steroids. Do you know that within 2 to 3 days of formulating this protocol, gut health, that most people say their acid reflux is gone? That's the easiest one. There's little tight junctions in the intestines. Those are the gateway between what's allowed to pass into the bloodstream or not. These junctions keep things out like toxins, microbes, and undigested food particles. But that inflammation that we talked about and all the chemicals are creating this leaky gut, essentially like having the gates broken, letting everything in, right into your bloodstream. And you have that brain-gut connection. Started with anxiety, stress, and chemicals. Now it's creating that feedback loop, going up to the brain, creating more of this. How do you think it's going to go for your cravings and your weight gain? When this happens, it also causes inflammation throughout your body. Inflammation is the root of all disease. So it all boils down to this. The world and our environment is taking control of us from the inside out. It's creating this zombie-like state that most of us seem to be walking around in. Even our young kids in the 20s, they're taking anti-anxiety medication. They can't sleep. They have poor skin. They're overweight. Yet there's a gym on every corner, and the gyms are beautiful and ready to go. So it can't just be that. If you were to reverse it, we have found that if you start healing the gut first, you will see an immediate positive effect. That's going to help start to rebuild your body and your mind. We create a customized lifestyle that's going to work for you long term because everyone is unique. So you have to go through this experimental process to make sure you know what works best for you and your gut and your lifestyle. As you see the scale go down, your sleep's going to improve, your cravings go down, your mood enhances, and your motivation and confidence will start to soar. This lowers the inflammation, the toxicity, and acidity in the body, making you less susceptible to cancer, diabetes, stroke, and GI issues. It's leaving you refreshed and better capable of handling those emotional stressful situations that are inevitable. So what we can control is the amount of crap we're putting on our skin, the amount of garbage we're putting in our bodies. And when we put stuff in our bodies, let's make sure it's the stuff that works for us, because in my experience, broccoli for one person could be great and cauliflower for another could be terrible. And depends on the type of chicken and the timing and the food combinations. The challenge is really not much more of a challenge than a education course where you're taking pictures of your food, and that's where the experts come in and take all this knowledge I've learned to help you dial it in. They help you with accountability and setting the game plan and making sure you're on track. But that's the idea of putting gut healthy protocol. Low inflammatory foods, some supplementation, probiotics, digestive enzymes, some of those things are great. We add that into the system, but they're not burning fat. What truly separates this protocol, what took me over 10 years to perfect, was changing my mindset. That if you gain weight or you're in poor health, you need to punish yourself to get healthy. It seems so crazy when you say it out loud, right? I mean, you think about that. Can you see why people with their best intentions start to go hard at the gym and they actually could be making things worse? The health clubs and the trainers know this. This is why I've created the Better Food Challenge, to help fortify that experience. That's why we're partnering with your health club, your physician, your employers, and now the CDC and Medicare. This is not a one-size-fits-all. When it comes to repairing and healing, especially when you take into account you got crazy schedules and health and some varied health histories, the challenge's goal is to orchestrate this all into a baby step assimilation of the protocol into your lifestyle on a day-to-day basis. And I'm going to further support you with an expert because let's face it, you're stressed out, you might need a little extra brain power to get this started. But once we have you going, you're off to the races. So the protocol of repairing the gut and the health and increasing fat metabolism is very straightforward. We start with four plant-based supplements, including a very powerful probiotic and digestive enzyme blend. This is not about lightning in a bottle, like I said. It's supplying your body these essentials needed for a powerful comeback. There's no known medical interactions. They're gluten-free, soy-free, all the things, obviously, that are good for you. I put them in there because I'm trying to make this easier on you, not because they're going to increase the amount of fat loss you have. Right? The fat loss is, again, the great byproduct of this. So the second part of the healing is defining your specific food optimizing combinations. You're completely unique, particularly when it comes to food and its many varied combinations. Now, I've already picked the lock for this for over 5,000 people, so our knowledge and experience speeds the process up, and it literally can eliminate failure. So when I say it speeds the process up, we start you off on a protocol that we know has worked for a lot of people, and then we modify it as we go. And it's usually only 2 or 3 key points along that 3-week process that we find that could make all the difference for somebody. It doesn't mean everything has to change, but there's 2 or 3 things that we uncover. We call them your blind spots that can dramatically change how you live the rest of the time on this planet. The third and most crucial part of this process is building an execution plan that includes a timeline, meal planning, grocery list, and strategic eating out guidelines, because it has to fit the real world. Here's what I always suggest as the very next steps. Have a quick call with one of my trained experts. Within a few minutes, 5 to 7 minutes on the phone, they're going to determine whether you're a good candidate for this challenge. And if they think you are, they're going to offer you a trial week. Now, I understand from working with thousands of people that your biggest fear is you failing, not the protocol. So let me alleviate that stress and let that fall on me and my team. If you speak with them and you still decide to go it alone, maybe you're still a little bit nervous, I'll have them set you up on our app and give you the 7 Simple Days curriculum so you can try it on your own. If the coach feels like it's a good fit, they'll offer you to do a trial week with us. This is Dr. Farrell from Better Health. I hope that now the slides are relaxing you to realize that this is not your fault. This is a stressed out world we live in, and right now you need more nourishment than you ever needed punishment. Go after it and go get it.